You're watch. You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
There we go. It's not a Friday night, by the way. It's not been that quick a week. But so we're here as always on the Scottish Football Zone on our Tuesday night. It feels a bit funny being here on 6:30 on a Tuesday night. But this is the channel that we concentrate in Scottish football and bringing you the big news and the big headlines. And as you saw today, this afternoon, actually, Rangers has appointed Danny Rohl as the new Rangers manager on a two and a half year deal. The 36-year-old joined from Sheffield Wednesday and will be getting into points as well between joining tonight with Ethan and Alex to chew over the news as well. I think that from Friday until tonight, Tuesday afternoon, we've come up with about 4 or 5 different managers of Rangers. The first choice, turned into maybe the third choice to get the job. So we'll dive into that as well. Get your comments coming in as well. I would be interested to see if there's any Rangers fans watching and see if their point of view on it as well. Alex, you first of all, what's your reaction to the news that Danny Rohl as the new Rangers manager?
Sorry, mate. You did cut out a bit there. I'm guessing what you've just asked me is what my initial reaction is. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's a good appointment. I'm happy Rangers have finally got a manager in the door. He has a lot of people will look at his age, but if you look into his sort of managerial CV, you look at the places he's been as a coach, as an assistant coach, the managers he's studied under, Hansi Flick, the likes of Bayern Munich, the German national team. He's been at RB Leipzig as well. He was at Southampton under Ralph Hasenhüttl, who was also linked to the Rangers job at one point. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with the appointment. I'm not pleased with the timing of the appointment. We'll get into those issues. I think we'll get into those issues. I think further on in the show because of the way it went, and Rangers didn't get the job done during the international break. But now he's in the door. He was taking training today with the squad, and then he had his presser in the afternoon, and hopefully he can hit the ground running. A lot of things that the fans have liked so far is he was wearing a suit. And I know a lot of stuff like that gets blown out of proportion, but I think tradition is important. And he did speak about in his interview the other day with Rangers TV, respecting the culture and the sort of traditions of the club because he understands its history and he's so far. I think he's said all the right things. We'll get to judge him on Thursday straight away and see what's happening there. But so far it looks okay.
Ethan, your reaction to the news?
Yeah, I thought from the start, I did think Danny Rohl was the one that I thought Rangers would go for. Obviously, they went through a lot of loopholes to get there. With it looked like it was going to be Steven Gerrard, and then Danny Rohl apparently said no, but obviously taking everything with a pinch of salt. Then it looked like it was going to be Muscat. Now we're back with Danny Rohl, and as Alex said, I think Alex said he's a promising coach. He's obviously young, but he's had a lot of gigs. Mostly as an assistant, but at the end of the day, there is always one point where you've got to step up and be a first team manager. Obviously, he did have that experience with Sheffield Wednesday, and a lot of the players that played under him have spoke very highly of him. So, yeah, I think he's a manager that's coming in, an exciting appointment, one that fits the San Francisco 49ers model, similar to that Russell Martin appointment. And I know that obviously went terribly for Rangers to start this season. They will obviously be hoping that it's a different scenario this time around. And I think it's one that comes with a risk. Of course, it does. Every managerial appointment does. But it's a solid appointment that I think the Rangers fans can get behind. And yeah, as Alex said, I think he's talked well so far, but I think you could say that for Russell Martin as well. So it's about going and doing his talking with his players on the pitch as well, and a massive opportunity to really start Rangers' European campaign on Thursday at Brann in Norway. So yeah, he'll be confident that he can get the players up and ready for that one and take 3 points. And I think I've seen something. Obviously, you don't take too much belief into these things, that he apparently turned Rangers down because he didn't want to come in for the game at the weekend. I've seen, which I don't really believe, to be honest. But it is obviously coming into a sort of pressure cooker atmosphere where he isn't going to get a lot of time because he needs to turn it around quick, because Rangers are already, well, certainly in the league anyway, and in the cup semi-final it's obviously coming up soon, and the Europa League as well are a few games away from being out of those competitions and where they need to be. So he needs to turn the results around quick. That's the pressure that's on him. So he'll know what is expected of him, and I'm sure the Andrew Kavanagh and Patrick Stewart will make it known to him what is required from him. And I think it is a good appointment from Rangers, as I said, and I think he will do well. Whether it'll be an instant switch, I don't know, but I think it's a promising manager that is similar to that of some of the managers that were being linked with in the summer. Davide Ancelotti, a manager who's not really had that before. Ancelotti obviously took on the was it Botafogo?
Yeah.
That he didn't really have that first team manager role, and now Danny Rohl obviously has one as well. So similar kind of appointment in that way, but obviously, as I said, these managers have got to take the step at some point, and it's a massive step for Danny Rohl, and Rangers fans will be hoping that that's the right one to take them forward.
I mean, obviously, Alex, when you watch the press conference, some of the quotes were saying that I'm looking forward to managing this amazing football club. It starts on Thursday night. It's time for a reset in the football club. But I don't know about you guys, but listening to him then, and he's putting over a lot of good sound bites to the Rangers fans. But part of me feels, I don't know how you guys would feel about this, but part of me feels a bit sorry for him as well.
Yeah, probably, because it is a really difficult scenario to go into, but it's also a wonderful opportunity for him personally, because I doubt, obviously we like to talk about how big Rangers and Celtic are, but in terms of the modern day, I doubt that Rangers will be his ultimate goal to be there for very long. So, but it's a great place to put himself on the map as a coach, and he's already done a decent job at Sheffield Wednesday in an extremely difficult situation. So yeah, it's a difficult situation for him to come into, but I don't know if I would quite say you would feel sorry for him, because there's there's plenty of coaches out there that probably would have bit your hand off at the opportunity to come in. Obviously, it's not, maybe judging by the way the managerial search has gone, that might not be the case, but I feel like it's a wonderful opportunity for him to sort of turn around I don't know, not turn around a sinking ship, but because that's not possible, because you can't turn a sinking ship upwards. But to turn around a failing team, and sort of, if he can, turn the season into a moderate success, like win both cups, do well in Europe, and he'll sort of get off to a great start with the Rangers supporters, and then if he can build on that in the future and keep going, he might be heralded as a hero in the future as well. You never know. Obviously, I'm speaking in saying hypotheticals, but I think that is the opportunity when you come to Rangers or Celtic, and you have the chance to cement your legacy at a massive team.
I suppose what I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole here, Ethan, but I suppose what I was trying to say was feel sorry for him in a way that he knows that this when the Rangers board spoke to him, he wasn't the first choice. That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and it is a difficult situation for him to come into because no matter that, obviously he had nothing to do with the rest of this season. He's still going to be under immense pressure, and I look at the next 4 games, especially for Rangers, 4 games, I believe it is massive. You've obviously got Bran in the Europa League on Thursday, as we referenced to. Then you've got 2 league games, one at the weekend, I believe one midweek, and then you've obviously got the cup semi-final against Celtic next Sunday. So that's a massive section of games that if he doesn't get enough points or enough success in those games, then it very much he could be under immense pressure very early, because we know what it's like in this country and we know what it's like in this city, especially Glasgow. And yeah, it's going to be a massive test for him, but he'll be hoping that he can get those players up and playing well like they were in the first half or first 60 minutes of that game at the weekend against Dundee United, where they really should have kicked on and won that game. So I think there is definitely a squad there that he can work with. I know a lot of people have doubted the recruitment and whether it's been good enough. I think we'll soon see that, and a different manager and the case of Russell Martin making the players not play to their strengths or whatever else will be. That myth will either be proven correct or false, depending on how well Danny Rohl can do with this group of players. But it's obviously a massive opportunity for him, one that he's going to take with 2 hands, and it gives him a real route to being a Premier League manager, because I think that's ultimately, if we like to say it or not, that's ultimately where most managers like to be. You look at what Steven Gerrard done. He came up from a lesser position than Danny Rohl, you would say, in the Liverpool sort of youth departments to come to Rangers, and obviously he got his big move to Aston Villa, Brendan Rodgers previously as well. So that's obviously what these managers are kind of coming here to do, and he's obviously got a very impressive CV, as I think Alex referenced to. He's worked under some great managers, some big clubs, and obviously the German national team as well, I believe. So yeah, he's obviously a talented manager. He knows what he's doing, but dealing with the pressure that comes with being the Rangers manager is something that he will never have experienced and might never experience again, depending who he goes on to after this spell and how long he lasts. But Rangers fans will be hoping that he can start these first few games, show signs of the team going in the right direction, and get the fans happy about supporting their football club again.
Do you think it would be a case of, I know he's managing in England as well, but obviously Germany is a high profile kind of like capital of football, Alex, as well. But do you not think it would be another kind of Postecoglou maybe stays me on this point about Rangers kind of like thinking outside the box a wee bit?
Yeah, maybe. I think it is probably an outside the box appointment. It's not super in line with previous. We've got a lot of English managers, a lot of, well, obviously Philip Clement wasn't English, but we have had a lot of English managers recently, and I think it's steering away from that sort of pattern and going for someone so young as well, starting their managerial career in the sense of, going out on their own. Obviously, he's had a couple of years at Sheffield Wednesday, like we keep talking about, but this is the first real big job and responsibility he's got for himself. I mean, and you can't sort of discredit what he's done in the past as a coach, but I feel like it's a whole other ball game. Excuse the pun. To when you're leading a football team, when you're leading a football club, especially the size of Rangers. So, but yeah, I would say it is probably an outside the box appointment. I just wanted to touch on something you said about him not being the first choice. I don't think we obviously that there was loads of talk of Gerrard and stuff. I don't think Danny Rohl was the first choice of the supporters, but we don't know if he was the first choice of the board or not. We don't know if they had him in the works as well as Gerrard, and they were waiting to see. And then when Gerrard turned them down, he he was the favourite after that, and then we thought he was out of the running again, and then he came back in. So that I just wanted to say that as well. But yeah, but I'm excited. I'm really excited to see it because I do like that. For lack of a better phrase, sort of the German coaching style and the intensity of it. And I'm sure our team, Rangers team, will be physical. They'll be running quite a lot. I know that doesn't sound super attractive, but if you've watched these sort of teams in the past, similar coaches. Like, I'm not saying he's on the same level before anyone jumps all over me, but it's a good example that comes to mind, like Jurgen Klopp, that kind of intense style. And not all German coaches are the same, but they have similarities in the way they deploy their teams.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think maybe Germany is one of the places in the world that do develop young managers. Because Julian Nagelsmann, obviously, the Germany national team coach, came up very young. And I think Danny Rohl, he will obviously bring exciting ideas, and I don't think it can be less exciting than Russell Martin, ultimately. I don't think it can go any worse than Russell Martin. Obviously it can, but I'd find it hard to see that sort of transpiring. I think there was a real divide between himself and the players from early on. Danny Rohl obviously will need to get the players on side and need to get them fighting for the football club again. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting one because it's the unknown. You don't know how this guy's going to live up to the pressure. He hasn't been in a scenario like this in terms of a pressure on the pressures on the team to win the league, or at least be up there. And I know the pressure isn't on Rangers to win the league at the moment, and it won't be on him to win the league at the moment because of how they've started the season. But ultimately, they'll still be expected to pick up the most points from now until the end of the league season, and that's regardless of who's above them and how far above the other teams are. I think, obviously, we can only speculate, but I do think Danny Rohl was probably one of the first candidates. I think they did want to go for him after. I think Gerrard was probably their first choice, but obviously they couldn't get Steven Gerrard. I think Danny Rohl was probably second. And obviously it was unfortunate for Rangers with how it worked out with Gerrard and Muscat, that they just couldn't sort of come to an agreement with either of them. But Danny Rohl's the man that has got the job, and now he's the man that needs to take Rangers forward and quickly, because there isn't a lot of points or defeats to be given up, because they've already used quite a lot of that this season.
And I think he's going from Ibrox. I don't know if it was in the Blue Room at Ibrox as a condition, but I think he'll go there straight to the airport, because obviously they've got a big European game on kind of like Thursday night, Alex, as well. And I think maybe, I don't know if this is right me saying this, but he might have a bit of a pass on Thursday night just because he's in the door and he's got a big kind of like European game could look at in first, Alex?
Alex is away.
Even, yeah.
Yeah, you were just saying about how big a game it will be on Thursday. Yeah, massive. They need to get off to a good start because ultimately the Europa League campaign and the possibilities of getting to the knockout rounds is slowly slipping away from them, and they need to get a result in Norway because Brann on paper I think is one of the fixtures they looked at as an easier one. I know there's no easy sort of fixtures in the Europa League. Every team is there for off merit and they're there for a reason. They're there to cause teams problems, but they need to go over there and get 3 points. And I would say the same for the other teams. Maybe less so Aberdeen because they're only one game into their campaign. But for Celtic as well, it's really important that both teams get a result this week. I'm not saying that I can see both teams getting a result this week based off how they've played, but it is really important. And another thing, I don't think it's really been spoken about too much unless I've missed it, is that I don't think we're too much in the know of who's going to be sort of Danny Rohl's number 2, are we?
No, but no. I did see Reagan putting something in the group chat last night, but I can't remember to be honest with you.
I think it was Lee Wallace. He's been the one that's been talked about. I think Andy Halliday said that Danny Rohl wanted Lee Wallace as a sort of number 2 or on the coaching staff, and I think he would be a good addition. Obviously, I don't know if I'm not too familiar with his previous coaching roles, but he obviously spent a lot of time at Rangers as a player, and he'll know the atmosphere, he'll know what the fans expect. I'm sure Danny Rohl isn't naive, and I'm sure he's coming into the job knowing that he needs to win almost every game at Rangers Football Club to be a successful manager. But it's always good to have that person who can that better connection with the fans, if you know what I'm trying to say. And Lee Wallace, someone who knows the club and has been about it for years as a mainstay in the team. I think a decade ago or so now, and maybe a little bit longer. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he gets in, and they need to, because even the 49ers and they need to get this whole management and coaching staff right. They can't afford to fall behind anymore in terms of a league context, in terms of a Europa League context, in terms of the League Cup. Obviously, they've got a massive opportunity against a Celtic team which aren't very good either. So they've got a real opportunity, and Danny Rohl's got a real opportunity to go and clinch some very early silverware like Philippe Clement did, and in the League Cup. So yeah, I think we're saying that obviously it's a difficult job that Danny Rohl's picked up, but it's also one that's a great opportunity for him. There's a lot of players there. There's been a lot of money spent. So he can be, if he's confident in his ability as a manager and he's had success previously, as I mentioned, players related with Scottish football or related to Scottish football even, like Barry Bannon and Josh Windass have spoke very highly of him from their time playing under him at Wednesday. So yeah, he's obviously a good coach, and but I thought Russell Martin was a decent appointment as well, and obviously that went very wrong. So it's difficult. It's not easy to get the right manager, but the 49ers will need to be sure about this one because there is absolutely no margin for error, or I'd imagine they'll be chased out of town by the Rangers fans.
Alex, where does that leave? Obviously, I know that you'd done a video the other day. You went to Ibrox as well to interview some fans. I would be interested to see if you would speak to fans now, because obviously Danny Rohl's in now. It doesn't matter if he was a second, third, fifth, sixth choice. You still got to back him as a supporter does. But where does that leave the 49ers?
I think what Ethan said, just no margin for error. If this appointment doesn't work out, they will come under serious criticism, because at first it was Russell Martin, then it was Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, and the owners will be next. They've avoided a lot of it so far, I think. which has been fair enough because they're just in the door and they're trying to make it work, and Rangers fans want it to work. However, if this appointment goes the wrong way, like Ethan said, they might be chased out of town by the supporters. Yeah, there's no margin for error here for them, and they say all the right things. They speak well, and they're clearly successful businessmen. If you look at their other ventures in the past, but yeah, it's an unforgiving football club. It's an unforgiving fan base. Obviously, it's very black and white. It's you give success, you'll be heralded as heroes, but if you fail, get out because this isn't the place for you. So yeah, it does put them in a very difficult position if Danny Rohl is to fail.
Yeah, and I think something that the Rangers fans do need to consider is that this is the first time that this 49ers, with Russell Martin, was the first time that they'd made a mistake, and they put their hands up and apologised and said we got it wrong. But a lot of people, I know a lot of Rangers fans didn't like the idea of Russell Martin, but a lot of people, including myself, thought it wasn't a bad appointment. I didn't think it was a terrible. I could see where they were sort of what they were going for. Obviously, it didn't work, but I don't think.
Ethan, do you think they perhaps underestimated Scottish football a little bit in this appointment of Russell Martin?
Possibly, quite possibly, because I think the way that Russell Martin seemed like he was sort of going about it was that he was going to have infinite time to sort of slowly build the club up, where ultimately Rangers building the club up from the bottom or wherever, or starting a new project like they were under the 49ers, they still need to be up there challenging for the title, and that's the bare minimum. And ultimately, that's what they weren't doing, and they need to compete on all fronts. I do think the 49ers will come under maybe unfair pressure because of obviously there's been a consistent run of Rangers appointing the wrong managers, not with the 49ers involved. But ultimately, you make one mistake, then you can't make another one straight after. They have to get this one right, or as you said, Alex, the fans will grow frustrated and they will just give up on the 49ers, and it'll be a long way back for them from there.
I think this is the first game for many years, Alex. I'm looking forward to the Celtic and Rangers AGM. I think it will be quite interesting. I think the Celtic AGM's usually in November, and I think the Rangers one is maybe at the end of November, December. But I'll be interested to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Celtic AGM is always a laugh because it's always the same old story. But this, Rangers AGMs in the past have been quite interesting as well. But the two of them will be quite interesting. Also, it depends on where Rangers are as well when it comes. I don't know 100% when it is, but I'd imagine it's soon. But it depends, if they get a couple of wins under the belt and it's looking good and Rangers are playing nice stuff, a bit of the heat might be taken off. Celtic, on the other hand, I think no matter what they do, the fans will still be raging because of the lack of investment all over the club, not just on transfers. I saw it was Ethan brought this to my attention, and they've started the Not Another Penny campaign, and they listed a lot of their disagreements and sort of what they believe are failings on the part of the Celtic board, and it's going to be really contentious, and that'll definitely be an interesting thing to see what comes of that. However, everything I've seen from like Lawwell, Desmond, and the others is they're not interested in hearing what the fans have to say. They don't really care what the fans have to say. That's the way it comes across. And there's although I feel like there's always been a disconnect, and there will be a disconnect between owners and fans, because financially and in terms of lifestyle, they're on different stratospheres. But I feel like now more than ever, the Celtic board are so far disconnected from the support, and they're just digging their heels in and essentially, digging their own graves. I feel like.
Yeah, quite possibly, and I do agree that, or I would make the point that this Rangers 49ers consortium ownership are under pressure, but they've not burnt their bridges yet. They made a mistake. They came out and apologised. They're trying to right the wrongs now, and I know it's not been smooth. It's been anything but since they've started, but they've still got an opportunity to have a good season. There's still 2 cups up for grabs. A European competition, which they've had success in the past, and I don't think they'll win the league, but there's stranger things have happened. There's still a chance for a positive season out of a terrible start. Whereas the Celtic ownership or the Celtic board have made mistakes, number of them, and have failed to really take responsibility for it, and they've tried to most of the time divert the sort of blame, which I think has frustrated the Celtic fans, that they've failed to get in touch.
Do you know what I think as well is one of the main big things, differences this season also is they've been living off of the line as well. We always beat Rangers, and the fans have been asking for European trophies and stuff. Not trophies, sorry, European progression. For years and wanting to sort of go on, but the Celtic board have kind of lived off the fact that they win everything domestically. However, this season you've got the Jambos sitting pretty at the top of the table with a chance to go 8 points clear this weekend, and the way Celtic have been playing and the way Hearts have been playing, I'd probably back Hearts to get that result and go 8 points clear. And you've got a League Cup semi-final against Rangers, who have been really poor this season, but Celtic played them already and didn't manage to get a result against them. It was possibly the most boring game of football we've all ever seen, and you don't know, and you don't know what Rangers team Celtic are going to be facing, and Brendan Rodgers is coming out and making sort of statements, well, accompanied with metaphors about the sort of team that he has and the tools that he has. He's it's interesting. It's an interesting strategy to take from him as well, because I feel like he is trying to get at the fact he's not been backed. But if you're a player and you hear that can't be great. You know what I mean. So it is interesting, and the board can't hide behind "we win all the trophies" anymore if this continues.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And
don't forget to sorry, Ethan.
No, I was just gonna say the last thing on that point, that there's been, since the 49ers have come in, there's been more of a connection with the Rangers hierarchy, less of the 49ers, below the 49ers, with Kevin Farewell and Patrick Stewart, with the Rangers fans, than there has been with the Celtic board. For the Celtic fans, I know the Celtic Fans Collective, I believe, as they're known, had a meeting with the directors that didn't go very well, and I just don't see a successful end to this for Celtic. Possibly trophies, but ultimately I don't think the club's going to take a step forward from last season. They're miles off of where they were last season, and I just don't see any scenario where Brendan Rodgers really fights for Celtic Football Club, because I do think that his head's elsewhere at this point, and I do think there's such a disconnect between himself and his bosses that I just don't really see it being an all too successful season for Celtic. That's not saying that they can't go and win a league title, because of course I think everybody would say that Celtic still have probably the best squad in the league on paper, even though very depleted from last season. But as Alex said, Hearts have put themselves in a great position. They'll be, I think, most people's favourites that have kept in touch with Scottish football to beat Celtic next week at Tynecastle and extend their lead, and it'll be a long way back for Celtic. And if they can't stay in it until January, where they can possibly go and sign recruits, new recruits, whether they will do, obviously you don't know. But yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, I'm happy that we have got another team in the race, because I think it's what everyone involved with Scottish football's wished for a long while, and it looks like last season it looked like we would have one, but it seemed like a bit of a fake title challenge from Aberdeen, you could say, maybe. But this seems like the real deal from Hearts, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon, and I hope they don't, because I hope by the end it's possibly 2 teams going head to head, or maybe even 3 or 4 teams. You never know.
Then take your neutral cap off and give us your thoughts.
What?
Then take your neutral cap off and give us your thoughts.
I don't know what you mean.
You know, you're saying you hope that they continue to challenge and all that, and I'm saying take your neutrality cap off and give us your thoughts.
I hope they do continue to challenge. I hope that there is a challenge come the end of the season. I hope there isn't a team that's running away with the league. I hope Hearts don't run away with the league. I hope Celtic don't run away with the league. And I hope no one else runs away with the league. I hope there's a real title challenge going neck and neck until the final day, because I don't think we've had that in the Scottish Premiership for a while, and hopefully Hearts or anyone else in the league can offer it to them, or offer it to Celtic, because ultimately it's been Celtic that have won most of the championships. But yeah, hopefully it goes on, and I do think it will go on. As Graham still isn't saying his Hearts side, or he's too confident in them winning the league, but I think I might be more confident in Hearts winning the league than Graham.
Graham, I'm starting to get turned. That win at the weekend was huge, and me and Ethan have been talking about this a lot on our podcast. The differences between Aberdeen and Hearts. There is huge differences. I don't think Aberdeen were ever outright leaders. Hearts are clearly right now the best team in the division. You can't even argue with that based off of form and the points tally. They are clearly the best team in the division right now. They've got the joint top scorer, joint top assister. They're the top scorers in the league themselves. They've got the second best defensive record. They've been excellent. If Graham's still watching, I would like to ask him like a 2-part question. Do you think you'll beat Celtic at the weekend? And if you do, are you going to change your mind? Do you think you'll win the league? 8-point gap. If and when he responds. Yeah. No, those points as well. Yeah, they were never 5 points clear. Their squad is really, really strong. Me and Ethan were talking about that as well. The fact that they've even got, you look at their bench and they've got guys who can come and make an impact as well. I know this is supposed to be talking about Danny Rohl, but we've kind of segued into just talking about the weekend. But I feel like there is some talking points about that as well. So really, I'm starting to get turned by Hearts. I don't know about you. I'm saying if they beat Celtic this weekend, I think they're serious title contenders and they've got a real chance to win it.
Yeah, I think they are. I think serious title contenders. I really couldn't rebut it because I just don't see. I think Celtic are the only team at the moment you could even put up a fighting case for, and I don't think many Celtic fans are even really confident for their trip to Edinburgh at the weekend. So yeah, I see Hearts as favourites at the moment, and I know a lot of people won't like to say it because it is still very early season. Obviously, I'm not stupid. I'm still aware that Hearts could have a ridiculous collapse, but I just don't see it coming at the moment. And even if Celtic do get up to levels that that Graham's referencing to there. Hearts might be too far clear by that
I don't
point.
think the Celtic side are capable of the levels. We've not seen it once.
No, I agree. I don't think they are. I don't think they have a good enough squad. I don't think they have a driven enough squad. I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have a good enough starting player in every position, right wing especially. And yeah, I think Celtic will really struggle if they lose at the weekend. I think Celtic will really struggle to claw back that gap, because it is a massive gap, and the proof is in the pudding. Tony Bloom's done this before. This isn't just some guy that's come in and invested, brought his analytics over, and it's never worked before. He won Union Saint-Gilloise, their first Belgian title in over 90 years. This is a guy who's proven that he can do it, and I think he's making a lot of people eat their words, because he said he thought he could give Celtic a run this season, and he's certainly doing that so far.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Right now. Oh, I don't know if I still don't know if I'd take any of them. No. I'd take Alexander Schwallow over Kasper Schmeichel. The back four, I'd probably, this is going to sound insane, but just based off of current form, I'd probably take Craig Halkett over Cameron Carter-Vickers. I know that sounds mental, but just based off of current form.
Yeah.
Obviously, Harry Milne sort of plays a different role to Kieran Tierney, but he's been better than him this season. Kizridis probably over. Oh, that's tough because Tinecki is really good. Oh, it's tight. I think that says it though. It is really, really tight. Cammy Devlin's been excellent as well. Claudio Braga, I think, would get in up top, and probably Shankland is. Oh my goodness, this is a really tough question. Really tough question, because Hearts have been so excellent. I think that's a credit to them that I'm actually struggling. I'm considering a lot of these positions. I think it's really tight right now. It's difficult as well because you've seen a lot of these Celtic guys play at a higher quality than they're capable of, but at the current moment in time, I think I'd probably take Schwallow, Halkett over Carter-Vickers, Kizridis over Tinecki. That's a really difficult one. Braga, or you could play Kizridis off the right because Celtic don't have a right winger. Keep Tinecki in there. I'd take Braga, but then you need to try and find a place for Shankland. I keep going round in circles on this one. Ethan, you want to take it away?
I would say at the minute, looking at Celtic's starting 11, I would say the obvious ones are Schwallow, as you said, and probably Kizridis and Braga. I still think Celtic, a lot of their players, despite their terrible form, they've still got quality that.
But I think if we want to make it realistic and make this question interesting, we should say right now, who would you rather have?
Well, I think right now, if you're looking at current form, I don't think a Celtic player gets in the Hearts team. So I'll put it that way. I just, but obviously that isn't the be all and end all of football. But no, it is a very interesting point, and Hearts have got a really strong squad there, and one that can definitely win at the weekend and keep that lead at the top. Because 8 points is a lot to drop when they've only dropped 2 so far this season. So yeah, so a long season ahead, but Hearts, if they can take one game at a time with no distractions of European football, then they can go a long way, and I hope they do.
I mean, in terms of like going back to the Rangers kind of like situation, and maybe Brennan and Celtic as well. If you look at the two boards, if you know what I mean by this, Ethan, the Rangers board might think they're quite lucky in the way that Celtic's got all these all these thousands of pounds, and they should be miles ahead of Rangers at the moment. In fact, Rangers shouldn't be in the eye line, if you know what I mean. They should be over the hill and far away, and obviously they're not. So I think that's what's annoying the Celtic fans as well, because they should be miles ahead of Rangers at the moment, but they're not.
Yeah, exactly that. And as I think Alex referenced to earlier, a lot of Celtic fans seem to think that the board run on the basis of, well, if we're winning the leagues and we're ahead of Rangers, then that's good enough. But ultimately, there's more to football than domestic football. I know that makes up a large portion of it, but when you're a club like Celtic, you are supposed to be a European force. And I'm not saying that Celtic should get to the Champions League latter stages or whatever, but they can at least have a go. And especially off the back of a really positive season, you would have thought that would have gave the board and Dermot Desmond incentive to go again, strengthen that squad and look to progress even further. But yeah, it's really crazy how far back Celtic have went from where they were last season. And yeah, it opens the door up to teams like Rangers to compete for trophies, and obviously Hearts to compete for the league title like they're doing.
One thing that me and we're discussing though as well is I feel like this is going to be the best opportunity for Hearts to get there. Because I think part of the reason we all laughed at Tony Bloom was didn't think it would be possible because of the financial sort of gap. And I think after this season, there's no way Celtic and Rangers will be this bad again. Like both of them simultaneously being this bad. So yeah, it's quite. I feel like this is the best opportunity for Hearts to win a league. For maybe the next, I'll put my neck on the line in the next 20 years or something. This will be the best opportunity for Hearts to win the league.
Ethan, what do you think of this point from Graham? I know that he's made this point several times when he was on the show, but I don't know about you, but looking at it from a neutral point of view, what Celtic is playing in a wee pond basically with a big club and all the rest of it. And if you wouldn't know that the thousands of pounds that they've got there now, but they're expected to win the league. They've got a bigger fan base, a bigger budget, even though it feels as though Celtic's got a pound shop at the moment, But yeah, I mean, I would maybe I would maybe disagree with Graham on that kind of point. Where do you stand, Ethan?
Yeah, I've always sort of disagreed with that point. I just think that there shouldn't never be a limit for a football club's ambition or a fan's ambition. I would never say to any, and I actually, although Tony Bloom, I think a lot of people sat and sort of laughed at him and sort of didn't expect him to have been so successful in his first season. I don't think anyone, well, I certainly wasn't going, oh, well, no, you can't say that. Because, of course, I think a lot of people still don't believe that Hearts can win the league. But why can't they believe that they can win the league? Why can't they look to progress and challenge Celtic and Rangers? And it's the exact same for Celtic. Why can't they look to challenge? I'm not saying challenge for the Champions League, but I'm saying challenge on a European front. Go and be as big a European powerhouse as your clubs in maybe Portugal or a Belgium or a Netherlands. And I know they're obviously massive in football and nations, but you've got to strive. You can't just stand still. You've got to have ambition and something, and ultimately that's what I think sports is about. It's about finding new levels and trying to progress to the highest possible level and maximising your potential. And I speak about potential. I don't think Celtic are reaching their potential at a club or anywhere near that. And I would fail to see how anyone would really disagree with that, because look at last season. They go so close to beating Bayern in 90 minutes at the Allianz Arena. Now they can't even get a victory in the Europa League, and they lost to a team who are probably going to pick up 0 points in the Champions League, because Kairat Almaty are playing right now, and they were playing against Paphos FC, who got a red card in the. Oh, actually, they might pick up a point. I might be stood corrected instantly. Paphos picked up a red card in the 4th minute, and it's still nothing each. Paphos did take the lead, but it's been ruled out. So maybe Kairat Almaty will get a single point. But I think you see what I'm trying to say. It's just been a regression that would be unimaginable to where Celtic were last season, and I think that's why the fans are so disappointed.
There you go then. So that was where special looking at Danny Rohl in the door at Rangers. He signed a 2.5-year deal, and he's off to Norway for his first game in the Europa Cup. Talking about that, we'll be back on Thursday as well, looking at Celtic, Rangers and Aberdeen in the Conference League. So join us for that one. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is the Scottish Football Zone on YouTube, and hit the button and hit the wee bell, and you'll see every time we go live. So Scottish Football Zone on YouTube. Thanks to Ethan. Thanks to Alec for joining us on this special show looking at Danny Rohl coming into Rangers. And we will be back on Thursday. Don't forget, we are not doing a show before the games. We'll be doing a show after the game. So we'll be here at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. So we'll catch you then.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.